A lot of people think because you own your own business, you're rich. Well, it's said that the employees are your most valuable asset. That's what it's said, but oftentimes it gets ignored. A picture's worth 1,000 words, and a video is worth 1,000,000.
Do you think it's that corporations honestly don't care, or do you think they just don't know?
Rise up, show up, do what you came to do. Do it right, do it well. That's the standard we pursue.
Boss Conversations, let's go.
What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another podcast of Boss Conversations, another episode, I should say, of Boss Conversations. And I have a very special guest with me. He hails from originally Tulsa, if I'm not mistaken. But now he is in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, which at the time of this recording, they're having a pretty good year as far as the NBA is concerned. But he is, most importantly, my brother-in-law. Ladies and gentlemen, William Jackson. What's going on with you, man?
What's going on, brother? Man, it's good to see you.
Man, it's good to see you too. I'm very happy to be doing this conversation with you. When I told my wife I wanted to bring this back, I was like, yo, I'm going to try to ask William. I'm going to try my best not to call you your nickname out here. So I'm going to have to ask William if he would do it. She was like, does he do business? I was like, yeah, he absolutely does. And so for those who do not know who you are, please tell them who you are.
Well, my name is actually William Jackson. Nobody ever calls me that except for my wife and the government. And but my professional name is actually Jack Jackson. So I go by Jack Jackson. That's the way I'm introduced at conventions and conferences that I speak at. Even at church, most people don't know my name is William. They think it's Jack, but it's been sticking with me for years. Jack was my daddy, Big Jack, and I was Little Jack. And now that I'm not little anymore, they just dropped the little part and they just call me Jack.
Oh man, okay. Well, that's one way to look at it. I never knew. I think I call him Pop Jackson my whole life. I never knew his name. I just, as soon as I knew him, he was like, yeah, it's called Pop Jackson. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm William Jackson Jr., so I'm a junior.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha. That's cool. So the business that you have, Zion Safety and Consulting, tell me a little bit about it. What is that business?
Well, I used to work for Johnson Controls, and also I worked at the Toyota facility here in San Antonio. What happened was we fell in love with San Antonio when I transferred down here from Missouri. We fell in love with San Antonio, and we decided to stay. I was working at the Toyota facility. My contract was up, so I signed a non-compete, and which means I couldn't go to work directly for Toyota for 1 year. So I was just going to consult for 1 year, so just to make ends meet. And turned out that the consulting career took off. I mean, it skyrocketed in 2007. I started March 15th, 2007. I have been to 46 of the 50 states. I've been to the Virgin Islands, and I've been to 9 different countries outside of North America. So in the nearly 20-year career that I've had, I have seen a lot. I go to industries, I go to manufacturing facilities, hospitals, power plants. I've been all over.
Man, that's so dope. I think the funny story that I have with you specifically is we were in St. Louis at the time, and I couldn't tell you why we were in St. Louis. I think we were in St. Louis. But you was like, hey Kyle, come with me to the golf course. I was like, golf course, all right. So I asked my brother Rodney, I was like, why you want me to go to the golf course? He's like, just go. I was like, okay, cool. And so when we got on the golf course, he was like, Kyle, you should really get comfortable on the golf course because that's where a lot of business deals are made.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay, cool. So when I got done, it was hot as that deal that day. So when I got done, I went back to Tawana, your youngest sister, and I was like, what the heck does he do? And that's when I was like, oh, so he is a legitimate businessman. And then
Yes.
even further in that conversation, I remember it vividly. You said, ain't you supposed to be going to Vegas? And I said, yeah. And you was like, when? I was like, I gave you the day. He was like, oh, I'll be there for another date. I was just gonna stay out there, see what you was doing. I was like, what does he do? And so just to kind of give context on how I actually even found out that you were actually in business like that. I had no idea that you had did consulting work on that level before that moment. And
Yes.
so how did you even get into the business of consulting? Like I understand you just told us about the Toyota and
Mhm.
the things how you transition from that, but consulting is a very, very interesting business.
Mhm.
And just looking to see how you actually got into all of that.
Well, my background, my educational background is in mechanical technology. However, I've never held a job that required me to have a degree in mechanical technology.
Mm,
So I got into the world of safety through a process of osmosis. At Johnson Controls, the safety person left, and the job still had to be done. Were having a hiring freeze, so they wouldn't hire a safety director. I came on, I stayed with the company and transferred over to safety because I was intrigued by it. And
mm,
so I was asked in 2004 if I'd be interested in coming to San Antonio to help start a plant with Toyota. And I said, San Antonio, it really had never crossed my mind, San Antonio. So I decided to go ahead and take the leap of faith with my wife and my two daughters. Were actually, my oldest daughter didn't come to live with us because she was graduating from high school that year. So
mm,
we decided to come on down. And what happened was my contract was up and they wanted to send me up north. Well, after I spent one winter here in Texas, I said, I'm not going back to that cold. They can have that cold. So I had an agreement with the president of Toyota at the time that just wait 1 year. He said he would give me some consulting jobs, and I knew I was hiring consultants for certain jobs anyway, and I knew that it could be lucrative. So I decided to do that temporarily. But I
mm,
was making more money than I would working for a company, and I was working less. And my
yeah.
consulting came off of my history, my career, and I just consult on safety and security with other companies. And a lot of people think I was just that smart. It wasn't smart. A lot of it had to do with the blessing of God. He gave me a blessing to take that leap of faith. And I can tell you a story. 2 weeks after I decided to leave Johnson Controls, I was unable to retire, but I could not collect my pension yet. So
Mm,
I decided I was going to consult. 2 weeks making calls, getting constant no's. No, we don't need any help. No, we don't need any help. 2 weeks, I went to Walmart, and this lady told me she was short 52 cents. She was in front of me at the line. She didn't have 52 cents. She's 52 cents short. I gave this lady $1. And she was so excited and elated that I gave her $1. She said to me, she said, I don't know who you are. She said, but if I ever have the opportunity to repay you, I will repay you tenfold.
mm.
And as a result, I haven't, didn't really even have to call anybody after that. People were calling me. And
Wow.
it was just, their blessings were just pouring in. Constantly, people were calling me, asking me if I'd come and do some consulting. Then I got into public speaking at the safety conferences, different safety conferences. And 2012, it really took off for me. I was getting asked to do more speeches than I was actual consulting. And I went to
Mm,
work with a company called Safe Start. I signed a contract to work with them and deliver their process to industries. And I got into the industry business. And I mean, like I said, needless to say, God definitely opened up a window and poured out a blessing that I did not have room to receive. I went
man.
to, like I said, I've been to 46 states. I've been to Hawaii 5 times and got paid to go, different parts of
Man.
Hawaii. I spent the last year, I spent the month of June in the Virgin Islands working with their power company for a whole month. And that you talk about taking one for the team. I took one for the team right there. But it has been a fantastic voyage. I had one of the things that I'm honored with. I received last year the Distinguished Service to Safety Award, and they only give it to 5 people in the world, and I was one of the 5 that received it. It took me a while to receive it, but I didn't. That was not my goal when I got into safety. When I got into safety, I just wanted to keep people safe. I was tired of seeing people get hurt.
Mhm.
People were losing fingers, and I said, I just
Mhm.
want to help. I just want to help these people.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that's where it's at. And I'm here today. I'm blessed this week to be working from home. I'm working with a local company here this week, and so I get to stay at home this week and work. I take an average of about 140 flights a year to different parts of the world and different parts of the country. And this week I just get to deal with the San Antonio traffic and come on home and relax and sleep in my bed.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I guess the most important part of that is I'm sure Alicia is very happy about that.
Well, I don't know.
So,
I don't know if she's happy about it. She
oh man.
she'll ask me if I'm going out on the patio tonight, and I'm like, I don't know. She said, you should go on the patio. She wants to watch something on TV that I don't want to watch. So she's sending me out to the patio to watch TV outside so she can watch American Idol or something like Dancing with the Stars or something that she likes to watch that she knows that I don't like to watch. So uh, she's happy though. I'm sure she's happy to have me home for this week.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, that's funny.
Mhm.
Um, so safety. I know in 2012, since you started in 2012, but really,
Well,
my
actually, I started in 2007.
oh, you started. Oh, okay,
I started my business
okay.
2007. 2012 is when I got on the speaking circuit. And the speaking circuit opened up windows for me because after I would go to a conference and speak, now you got people from hundreds of companies at one time. They're coming at me and saying, hey, can you come and consult at my company? So it opened up doors for me to go to different
Mm,
that.
gotcha. So
Mhm.
when you started speaking, the doors that it opened up actually provided you even more access to do what you actually do, basically, for as
Mhm.
far as the consulting and things of that nature. So the first question I do have for you is with you being in the industry of safety, when COVID-19 hit, how did that really affect the business? Because I would only assume, I assume because you're in safety, it grew the business, but I'm not sure because it's COVID. So I mean, I know safety, I think if I'm not mistaken, in the industry that you're in as far as safety is more so for mechanicals, but I'm not sure. I don't want to assume. So that's why I was asking, how did that really hit the business?
Well, the way that it hit the business for me, that slowed the business for me, a lot of clients were not allowing outside vendors to come in. So
Mm,
what it forced me to do is learn how to deliver some of the processes that I was delivering virtually. So became good friends with Zoom and Teams and Google Meets, all of those, because that was the only way that I could get uh, into the companies was through that. I went from 140 flights a year to that. The first year of COVID, I took about 20 flights. It was a
mm.
very few people that would allow you to come in. Everywhere I went, they check your temperature, and I'm gonna say God bless me there too because I've never had it.
Well, that is a blessing.
Mhm.
I was never able to. I never got it either. So I'm very thankful for that.
Mhm.
Um,
And my wife had it 7 times. Alicia had it 7 times.
Alicia had it 7 times,
hmm She's had it 7 times since 2020.
and you haven't had it once.
No, no.
Wow, that's a
Mhm.
blessing, though.
It is.
That's a definite blessing. Um, so consulting. A lot of people look at consulting as a. I'm trying to make sure I word this correctly. It is a real business, but a lot of people that I've encountered look at consulting more so of a very niche business.
Mhm.
Whereas you get paid for what you know, not necessarily what you do. Um, can you define consulting from your perspective?
Consulting is basically looking at problems, I focus more on people problems than I do actual mechanical problems. So,
So,
how do we interact with the hazards that we face every single day? The thing of it is, though, Kyle, most people have, when you get hurt, whether it's at home, at work, or on the road, most of the time it's something you were familiar with doing. And I'll give you an
mhm,
example. It's not that you don't know the rules. You understand the rules, but
mhm,
almost everybody has ran a red light. You didn't run the red light uh, because you didn't know the rule. You ran the red light because your mind was somewhere else or your eyes were somewhere else. So it was the human
mhm.
side of it, and you were probably used to driving. So you were very complacent in that.
Yeah.
You've been cut with a knife, and you know, general rule of thumb, a knife is sharp. You knew the knife was sharp. You've been cut with a razor. You knew the razor was sharp, and it was something you was familiar with doing. The big one that gets me, I get a lot of thing about is that I talk about that hot pot on the stove. Now, generally speaking, the only reason you put a pot on the stove is to heat it up. So
Yeah.
you knew the pot was hot, but you touched it. And many of us have done it multiple times. So what I
Yeah.
try to teach people is to realize how you're thinking when you interact with the hazards. And when people have been around a certain hazard for a long time, they have the tendency to get comfortable with it, take it for granted. And that's one thing you can't do. You can't take the hazards for granted.
Mm, very true. Very true. So, dealing with the safety aspect, I do want to kind of transition into the business of it,
Hmm.
just overall business, because I know you are a business person.
Hmm.
One of my favorite questions to ask business owners is, what is something that most people believe is true in business that's actually a lie once you get in? S-
Probably a lot of people think because you own your own business, you're rich. Now, I'm not poor, but I'm not rich either. But a lot of
Yeah.
people think you automatically get rich. Consulting is very lucrative if you get in with the right people. And I've been fortunate to get in with a lot of good people that have um, partnered with me to do different things. I get offered to collaborate all the time, often.
Mhm.
And I don't know. Um, I know that it's because of what I know, but it's also my delivery technique. I don't
Mhm.
deliver in a lecture format. I deliver in an engaging format, and I want to engage the people that I work with and the people that I'm talking to. I'm not afraid to go down. I got steel toe shoes, safety glasses, and I'll go down there and talk to the people working on the floor, and I'll show people that that's part of the reason why um, they gravitate to me because I talk to them. And what
Mhm.
happens in a lot of industries is the upper level people don't talk to the people. So what I the money part is good money, yes, but everybody that's in business and consulting, everybody's not rich. But that's one thing that I found out that was not true. One of the things I found out that was true though is that initially when you go into businesses, people see you as an outsider and they think in that if you're walking around with the manager, the plant manager, the chief executive officer, they think automatically they're gonna be hesitant at first because they
Mhm.
think you've heard the slogan, "I'm with the company, I'm here to help," and so they automatically think you're a corporate guy. And the
Mhm.
corporate guys, some of those they get a bad rap too, because they are actually good people. They just need help with dealing with the people. So that's my forte. I like dealing with people. I like talking to people. I ask people questions that force them to think. And when a person gets hurt, most of the time they wasn't thinking about getting hurt. It was unexpected. And
Right.
your mind was often somewhere else.
Gotcha. So I'm
Yeah.
so glad you brought up the whole corporate structure because I was in a corporate structure at one point in time, and it does seem like if they bring people in to consult, whether it's for, HR reasons or whatever the case may be, they do come and say the same thing, hey, we are here to help, we're not part of the corporation, but we do help the corporation. And it does sometimes come off as they just they're just another arm of the corporate. And corporations, in my opinion, and this is where I want to get your opinion on, a lot of times they don't look at the numbers, and they look at the numbers, I'm sorry, and they don't look at the people.
Exactly.
When you say you look at the people, do you believe that the people aspect is more important than the process, or
The,
is it the other way around?
well, it's said that our people, the employees, are your most valuable asset. That's what it's said, but oftentimes it gets ignored. The people get ignored. In particularly, I can recall corporate engineers. My background is in technology, engineers, that type of thing. The engineers would design something on paper that looked good, but they did not consult with the person that actually has to do the work with this new machinery that they designed. And and when you force them to use something that they know doesn't work, they become reluctant to accept anything that the corporation throws at them, even if it is actually something that's good for them. So what they could do, and I suggest this every plant I go to, before you design something new, go talk to the people out there on the floor and ask them, will it work? And when I take tours, that's one of the big questions that I ask is I'll go around to somebody working on a piece of machinery and I'll ask them, if I gave you a blank check, how could you make this job safer? And most of them would respond this way. Nobody's ever asked me that before. And I've had people that say, hey, can I get back with you? And I might see him the next day. He say, you still got that blank check? And I'm like, yeah, that's it. And they've thought about it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't cost a thing to ask the question. One of the things I tell management, so I do management training as well and supervisory training. And one of the things that I tell people is that you don't have a single successful relationship that did not have communication. And communication doesn't mean it's two-way. It doesn't mean you just bark orders at somebody. You get their feedback as well. And that has been very positive for me, getting their feedback. I may even ask them a question like, if you were going to get hurt on this job, what would be the most likely way you'd get hurt? And that forces them to think. And the management, when I walk around, I say, you can go around and ask those same type of questions. Building that communication, building that relationship with the employees, I think is huge. And so many corporations, you sit up in the ivory tower and you look down on the citizens below, and you're not really getting their input about what's going on, what's really going on.
Mm-hmm. So just to piggyback on that, do you think it's that corporations honestly don't care, or do you think they just don't know?
A lot of them don't know. Some of them don't care, but a lot of them don't know. They haven't been trained and they haven't been talked to. A lot of time with the approach that I talk to people with, I like to target the person's heart. If I can target their heart, I get more responses from them, better responses from them. I might ask a question like, ask an employee out on the floor, if your son or daughter was going to come to work here, what would be, and you could only tell them one thing to keep them safe, what would it be? And that forces them to think, okay, I don't want my child to be hurt. So what can I do to make sure that they're not hurt? And that's what we need to target. Target the people that work out there all the time. They know what works and what doesn't work. They know what the hazards are. They know how to deal with the hazards. So the corporate world can't just lean on the engineers. They need to lean on the employees for input.
Very true.
Mhm.
I was looking around. I was like, I left my notebook in the other room. I was about to write that down as far as like making sure you're asking the employees like the simple questions when it comes to safety for your sector, but just in general, it's best to really just ask different people their opinion with whatever business that you're in, just to
Mhm.
see if it works. And I think that's something that a lot of people in business that they just don't do. Whether it's just a focus group or whatever the case may be, a lot of people just don't ask to see if it's even needed in the market
Mhm.
for whatever business that they're in. So that was very good. Um, I'm definitely going to write that down. So, of course, my next question must be, because you are consulting and just based off the sector that you're in, which is safety, how has AI played a part in your sector, if it has?
Well, one of the things that AI has really helped with most recently, I have seen people read, but they don't know if you remember we used to do reading comprehension was a grade when we were in school, and people read, but I don't think they comprehend as much, especially if it's a lot to read.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, people gravitate towards I call it the Twitter version. They want 140 characters or less. Okay, give it to me quick, give it to me straight. But with the AI, if you give them a video, they have a tendency to watch the entire video. If you give them a bunch to read, they probably won't read. So AI has a feature now where they can video you doing a task, and then they record the steps in writing what was being done, and then that writing can then be turned into words, speech. It'll read back to you. Man holding screwdriver in left hand, inappropriate screwdriver. He switches out screwdriver for appropriate screwdriver. He turns it approximately 15 times. They'll record all that, but they record it, first of all, they're recording it verbally, and people have a tendency to watch that more than read. People don't like to read anymore. I mean, reading, I mean, you think about it, and then they don't want a bunch of papers to read either. A
True.
picture's worth 1,000 words, and a video is worth 1,000,000.
Mm,
So the
that's
AI has helped that tremendously.
I ain't never heard that one. I don't think I've ever heard a video is worth a million words. I'm gonna have to use that one. But it's
You know,
true. It's
I give you the example. I give you the example.
okay.
The example is the DIY projects that we do.
Mm-hmm.
You got a list of instructions, but they also have a QR code on there that will take you to a video.
True.
And sometimes people will just watch the video and won't even bother reading the instructions because they're watching the video and they're talking you through the video and they're talking you through the steps. I most recently did that last winter. And now, granted, we don't get real cold down here, but I have an outside heater, and they had instructions, and I just couldn't comprehend those instructions. So I did the QR code, watched the video, I had the thing put together in no time.
Mm. Do you think that's making us less smart? Just
It's making us dependent, is what it does. That's what AI does. It makes
yes.
us dependent on the system. So
Mm.
when the system breaks down, what do we fall back on? We don't have much to fall back on if we're not reading. So I try to. That's one of the things I continuously try to do is I continually try to read. I continually try to see what's new out there, whether it's with the industry that I'm in or whether it's just something I'm interested in. I continually try to read.
Mm.
And one of the things I saw that helped you with reading is if you read something and like you just said, uh, you were gonna write something down. You left your notepad in another room. You write it down, you have a tendency to remember it more than you would if you didn't. Because you might not
Mm.
remember what you just wanted to write down 20 minutes from now. But if you write it down, you'll remember for a lot longer. And I'm not talking on an iPad. I'm talking about writing it down handwriting. There's a
Right.
connection there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, that's all right. I'm gonna go back and watch this and write it down anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's all gonna work itself out.
There you go again. You said you're gonna go back and watch a video to write down the note that you want to write down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my next question would be, with you being in the safety and the consulting industry, and I know you say you do um, speaking engagements as well, which I know your speaking engagements really only help you do the safety and the consulting, be
Mm-hmm.
even a more effective communicator.
Yeah.
Um, if you had to start all the way over with nothing, just, a thought process and, hey, I want to do consulting for safety. How would you start all the way over if you lost everything today?
If I had to start all the way over, um, one of the things you don't lose a lot of is your experiences. One of the things I would do if I did have to start all the way over is I would probably utilize more of the internet than what I do now. A lot of mine is word of mouth. I initially started with a website, but I wasn't getting much traffic with the website. I was getting more traffic with face-to-face meetings, people meeting me at these speaking engagements. I would have started those speaking engagements sooner because rather than going to one company at a time, when you speak at these conferences, you have multiple companies in the room at one time.
Mm.
Whereas if I just went to a Nabisco plant, I might have to speak to one person. I might get the gig and I might not. But if I go to a conference and speak at a conference, now I got 30 companies in the room at one time.
Mm.
So I would have started that sooner. It was 5 years in before I even started speaking at conferences.
Mm. Is it now? This is just a personal question. Is it too late for you to start? Like,
To
if
let
you
me,
were to do like videos and things of that nature, like start online more.
mhm. No, it's not too late for me to start. It's just time.
Yeah.
It takes time. I pray I don't have to start over. I'm looking at the end of the road now. I'm not, I think I got maybe 3-5 years left in me of
Mm.
running like I'm running now. But I think I would probably speak as long as I was able to speak because I do enjoy that. It's it pays well, and rather than spending 8 hours in a plant, I'm only spending an hour talking to 30 people rather than spending 8 hours talking to one person.
Mm.
So I would probably start if I had to do it all over again, I would start speaking more, and I would, like you said, video. One of the things, one of the companies I do work with, not my client, but I partner with him. He does virtual training sessions in a box, and he records them
Mm.
in the box, and he doesn't have to be there. He can just send that recording to multiple people,
Mm.
multiple companies, and it doesn't pay as much as a live person would, but it does pay without you having to go to all those places personally.
Makes sense. So
Mm.
business in a box, which I know that's a very popular concept right now for a lot of consultants, but also a lot of coaches as well. They do a lot of business in a box type situation where they'll have all the information in one place and
Hmm.
then they'll send it to, a mass of people. So
Hmm.
that makes sense. I completely understand that.
Hmm.
Um, what would be the advice for someone who's looking to get started in consulting? Not necessarily just safety, but if they wanted to just get started in consulting for their particular sector, if they had the experience to do it, what is some advice that you would tell them when they're
The
getting
first
started?
the first bit of advice I would tell them is talk to some people that are doing it,
Mm.
that have been and are successful at doing it. If you know some that were not successful at doing it, ask them why they feel they were not successful at doing it. But definitely talk to the people that are doing it now. They can give you a heads up on, hey, do this, don't do that. That's actually what I did. I actually started talking to people that were doing it, and I might meet people at some of these conferences, and then I would start talking to them about what they do. And like I said, I get offered not just to come to companies. I got an offer a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta. A guy asked me if I'd be interested in hearing their process and wondered if I could collaborate with them. And they wanted to use me somewhat as an advertising piece for them. Um, and, just business connections are good.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Why is business connections good? I understand why, but
Mm-hmm.
in your own words, why do you believe that connection and networking is very important?
Because a lot of times you heard the saying, it's not what you know. Sometimes it's who you know.
Yeah.
And some of the trips I've made abroad was because of who I knew. It wasn't necessarily because of what I knew.
Mm,
Mm.
true. Very true. Well, man, this has been a great interview. I definitely want to do another one.
Okay.
because I know you talk about doing speaking,
Mm-hmm.
like different speaking engagements.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not gonna put you out there because we talked about it last night, so I'm not gonna put you out there. But
Mm.
for those who are interested in knowing more about you, tell them where they can find you, whether it's your social media or your email.
Social media on LinkedIn at Jack Jackson. And my email address is zion1_consulting@yahoo.com.
Cool, man. Well, man, William Jackson, Jack Jackson, thank you so much for it's been so hard not to call you by your nickname on here.
It's
But
few people call me by my nickname anymore.
oh well, well, I'm family, so I feel like I
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
can halfway get away with it. So but man, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're very busy with your schedule, and
Mhm.
so when I reached out and you said that you would do it, I was so excited. So I really appreciate that. And man, that's really it for those who are watching. Thank you all for joining. This has been another successful episode of Boss Conversations. As I always say, do business and do business well. Until next time, I see y'all.